Hi pet lovers, thank you for joining Gina's grooming channel. Today's discussion is going to be on the basic equipment that every groomer starts out with. Okay, so the basic grooming kit, right? So when we are ready to groom, obviously there's a lot of equipment that is involved in grooming if you're starting your own salon or if you're going out on your own. But if you're going to be working in a salon that has an infrastructure in place, so they have tubs, they have dryers, they have all of that for you, you can go ahead, pack up all of this into a container, right? And go ahead into that location and start to groom. So I remember when I first started grooming, I had the benefit of going to grooming school, and in the tuition, they embedded a cost for a grooming kit, so our starting grooming kit. So now this cost went ahead and paid for these selections that our instructors, right, and the director of the school chose for us to start our grooming career. So this discussion is kind of going to do the same thing, which is going to go through all of the basic essentials that you need to start grooming. So if you're an aspiring groomer or just a home groomer kind of curious to see where people start, or if you're very serious about grooming your pets at home, you can see what's included in the basic grooming kit and where most groomers start out. So although this isn't exactly all the brands that I started working with, it will give you a basic idea. And what I'm going to do is put in the description and a link to our website where we're going to go ahead and put this in kind of levels. So I'm going to show you the equipment that I started with, so level 1, and then kind of as I progress through my career, I'm going to give you guys an example of the kit for level 2. So the stuff that I was able to buy once my career started to get going, and then I'm going to do level 3 for people can kind of see where that progression is. So some of the equipment that I use today and where that started from level 1 to level 3. So you can really see how the kits can vary depending on where you are in your grooming career. All right, so we laid out the table in a very strategic way, and what we're going to do is kind of work our way through, and all of the equipment on this side of the table is all for bathing, brushing, okay? So that's mostly how groomers start out. We start out bathing and brushing, and then we go ahead and start learning how to do haircuts and start using clippers and scissors and the like. So I'm going to go ahead from this side, go through some of the points with the equipment that is part of the kit, so you kind of understand what it's used for and some of the logic behind it. And then we'll go ahead and progress toward the haircut side and deal with all the details there. Okay, bathing, brushing, where we all start out. Okay, so we've got our brushes. So let's look at the basic brushes. Now again, this is a very basic idea. Just know that as you start progressing in grooming, you are going to start acquiring a lot of stuff. But basically, we are going to have a slicker brush and we are going to have a rubber brush. Okay, so this is for dogs that have coats. These are dogs that have short or smooth carried coats. So we want to make sure we don't scratch them. So make sure you have a slicker brush and a rubber brush. And if you are working with show dogs, like right off the bat, you want to have a pin brush too for any long coats so you don't go ahead and cut that coat in any way. But just be aware that the basics are pin brush, rubber brush. Okay, moving on to combs. We definitely want to have a variety of teeth spacing. We want to have a metal comb that is sturdy. This comb in particular has a coarse side and a fine side. So this will do a lot of work for a lot of dogs. If you do want to enhance it and you're working with a lot of thick coats, you definitely maybe want to look at something with more teeth spacing, right? So you're not like yanking at the coat with finer teeth. And also, if you're working around eyes, you may want to consider looking, this is not a flea comb, but a very fine comb, so you can go ahead and get some really detailed work around a dog's face and other parts of their body. And of course, when we're doing any kind of brushing work, we are going to have a conditioning spray because we want to make sure that we slick out that coat, especially if you're doing any kind of pre-brushing. So I consider this a personal grooming item. I like to select my grooming spray, and I know a lot of groomers do. So look out for a spray that works for you. I can definitely give you some recommendations. But know that if you are doing bathing and brushing, you're going to want to have a conditioning spray of your choosing. Okay, let's move on. Still in the bathing, brushing arena, our nails. So we have our nail trimmer, right, our nail clipper. I always like to include a metal nail file. And I will say, even in the very beginning of grooming, you have your own personal nail grinder, okay? So this is really important. You'll see these also called Dremels, but this is really important to have as part of your kit. So still in the bathing, brushing arena, if you are dealing with ear hair, you're gonna either have to get some hemostats or some rounded tweezers. I actually round these tweezers. You can see me use this when I talk about ear hair plucking for dogs in our video on our channel, but just know, be prepared. Getting the hair with your fingers is not always gonna be easy, so you definitely wanna be prepared to have equipment that can go ahead and pull out that hair. Okay, so now that we've got our bathing, brushing all settled, we are gonna go in. Let's go ahead and talk about shears and scissors. If you guys have any questions on shears and scissors, we do have a video out that for you. We haven't made one yet of thinning shears, so we're definitely gonna bring that to you so we can talk about different types of thinning shears and how we use them. But just know that for our beginning grooming kit, okay, now the ones that I'm showing you here are probably not going to be your choices day one when you're starting to groom. They're a little more refined, but really the basic principle is you want to have a pair of thinners. Okay, so when these are 48 tooth, you'll see these in 46 teeth thinners, and you want to have a pair of curved shears, right? A pair of curved scissors. Now, as I said before, you're going to start getting a lot more scissors and shears and collecting. You're going to be using scissors and shears in different parts of the dog's body. Some you're going to use on the feet. So just know, be aware. But when you're really starting out, you can get away with just having a nice pair of curves. These are 8 inches, and a nice pair of thinning shears. These are 48 tooth. Now, I recommend, but if you can't afford it, to also include a pair of straight shears. And in fact, a lot of the scissor manufacturers will go ahead and do a starter kit. I'm gonna look for some of those starter kits for you if you are interested, but that includes a curved pair, a straight pair, and a pair of thinning shears. So just know that a straight pair is really good to have. I wouldn't say it's necessary day one. I will say that for the majority of grooms, I always, not always, but mostly use my curves and really bring out my straights in just very specific situations like the back of a poodle top knot, like column legs. But be aware that you definitely want to have a straight pair at some point soon after you start grooming. And you also want to have a pair of safety scissors. Again, when I started, there was no safety scissors. I was cutting by the eyes with my curved shears. But if you have the option to buy some blunt edge, so these are ball-tipped edge safety scissors, they also are a lot lighter. So if you're working around the face or eye, it's a lot safer that they are light so that they don't close with any power. So just know that thinners and curved shears are the basics, but if you can kick it up a notch to the straight shears and include also some safety scissors, you're going to be a lot ahead of the game. Okay, let's move on to clippers. This is where you're going to be doing your puppy cuts, a lot of your clipper work, paw pad trims, a lot of stuff happens with your clipper. I mean, I have seen people who just hand scissor dogs, but for the most part, groomers are going to be including clippers as part of their tools that they do their haircuts with. Now, I believe this is the clipper that I started with. It was just a 1-speed. I'm going to go ahead and include one that is very similar. That's a 2-speed in the kit in the description below. But just know that a 1-speed is not too bad. One of the things I do want to talk about is that I recommend a corded clipper at first. As you progress, and I know I keep saying it, you're going to get more and more equipment. You're going to move on to corded clippers and all sorts of fancy stuff and detail clippers. Don't worry about that in the beginning. Really just a nice, maybe 1 or 2-speed corded clipper is gonna get you through all the jobs that you need to get done as long as you select the proper clipper blades and you take care of them well and you take care of your equipment. You can go ahead and start with a very basic clipper and rest assured that you're gonna be able to get the job done. And just to mention, since I am going to be putting down a very basic clipper in the kit, if anyone is interested in kind of figuring out how best to decide how to select a clipper for you, we do have 7 things to look for when choosing a professional pet clipper. I'll put the link down in the description below. You guys can jump to that if anyone is really serious about buying a clipper and really wants to understand the factors that are involved with that. Okay, clipper blades. These are what go on your clipper. And in professional grooming, you are going to have a standard A5 clipper blade that's going to fit on your A5 compatible clipper. So let's go through the blades that I have here, and then I'm going to tell you which ones I find incredibly important that every groomer should have. on a day-to-day basis. And then some that are kind of, I don't want to say obsolete, but you can get away with not purchasing them day one when you are building your kit. So if you want to save a little bit of money when you're purchasing your kit, I'll tell you how you can do that. Okay, so clipper blades, they start, really most groomers will have a 3, and if you are concerned about what that F is behind that, watch our clipper blade episode. It explains everything about how clipper blades work, how they fit on the clipper, all of that good stuff. So I'm not going to go through that here, but let's just talk about the clipper blades that would be included in the kit. Now the 3 I put here, but really that's not usually included in the kit, but a lot of groomers do find this 3 very valuable. It's a 13 millimeter clipper blade. So just know that a lot of groomers like the 3. I did not start with the 3, but I did have a 4, okay? I did start with a 5, okay? And I started with a 7. All of these are finishing blades with the F. Now, I'm gonna tell you right now that I would definitely recommend that you double up on your 7s in your initial kit. The 5s, I have multiple 5s working as a professional. I have multiples of all of these. But the 5s, if I'm going and doing work, I will take multiple 5s as well. But I will tell you that when we talk about the clipper guide combs, there are some lengths of guide combs that mirror very closely the size 5F. So that's why if you do want to save some pennies, you can just go ahead and buy one size 5 of your clipper blades. But when you're going into the 7s, I would definitely recommend buying at least 2 because size 7F is going to be your shaving blade. This is what you're going to be doing your shave downs with. And you definitely want to have 2, not only if one breaks, but you also want to make sure that you can rotate while you're shaving so you keep your blades cool. Moving on, we got our 10s. Definitely double up on the 10s. 10s are kind of easy to double up on because that's what's most commonly coming with your clipper when you purchase a clipper. But 10s are what you're going to use for sanitaries. A lot of people start out doing paw pads with 10s. So good to double up on a 10. It's also good because you can use guide combs over a 10. Okay, and then you have your size 30s. These I say double up on. I would have a lot more of these. I do have a lot more of these, but even in the beginning, I'm gonna say at least 2, but consider doing at least 3 size 30s because size 30 is what you're gonna be using under your guide combs, which we're gonna talk about in a second. So you're gonna be using a lot of 30s and they can dull out really fast. So just know, be prepared. You don't want to be stuck in the middle of a haircut with you having only 130 and then it goes out and you can't finish that haircut. And then I added 40 here. This is more for nostalgia, but the 40 it's important to have, especially if you have a paw pad that has a really thick mat in it and you have to get really close. Always nice to have a 40 handy. I also want to mention that the 40 is what the plastic guide combs of the days of yore used to fit over. But just know that do not put your metal guide combs over your 40. This was only used for your plastic guide combs. But again, really nice to have. And if in case you have something happen to all your metal guide combs and someone lends you a plastic guide comb, at least you'll have a 40 that you can use. All right, and part of our kit, kind of final part, is going to be our guide combs. Again, these are typically going to be sitting over our 30s, and they come in different lengths. Okay, so these, you buy them in a kit. You want to make sure that you have this part of your overall starting grooming kit. This is how you do your haircuts with a guide comb that fits over your clipper blade, 30 that's going to sit on your clipper, right? So you're going to have this whole entire configuration. And that's how you're going to do your haircuts. So just know that if you don't have your guide combs day one, you're not really going to be able to do much except maybe shave downs and hand scissoring. So it doesn't give you a lot of flexibility. Just know that when you're prepping your kit, a guide comb is a crucial thing. Okay, so now that we talked about the equipment, there's a few little side notes I want to tell you that if you are packing your bag and starting to work at a salon, that's great. One of the other personal items that you are going to be bringing with you is either a grooming smock or a grooming apron, so something to protect your clothing. So be aware that there's going to be a lot of stuff flying at you and stuff that you don't want hitting your clothes, so make sure that you have some kind of a grooming smock or an apron to protect your clothes. Okay, last but not least, we're going to talk about carrying cases. You want to go ahead and invest in a carrying case. Okay, something that is going to go ahead and store all your equipment safely so that when you pack it up, you can go ahead and safely walk into the salon with all of your stuff. Now these cases come in different types and styles. There's different caddies, but if you cannot afford a case at this time, make sure to invest in like little cardboard caddies so you can go ahead and put all of your blades in, right? So that everything's secure and that you seal it tight, that all of your scissors have a case for it. So anything that you have, you want to go ahead and put into a case, okay, so that it's nice and secure. And now, if you've got a kind of an alternate carrying case or something like that, you can go ahead and put your scissors in a case, in a backpack for the time being until you go ahead and actually get a professional case so that you can carry your grooming equipment. Okay, so now that we know what is part of the basic equipment, the basic set, know that there's a lot more to it, and we're going to be expanding on this as we go through this journey together. But this should get you on the road. At least you can know what your initial investment would be if you were thinking about entering the world of professional grooming. Okay, and then you can kind of start preparing what is the stuff that you really need. There's going to be a lot of equipment as you step into the world of grooming. So we're trying to kind of whittle it down, break it down to the basics so that you're not going ahead and running around and spending a lot of time looking for things that you can get answers for from someone who has done it before. So I hope this brings you guys some insight into that. If you have any questions, comments, please feel free to put that down below. If you like this video, thanks for clicking that thumbs up. We really appreciate it. Thanks for subscribing. We'll see you soon.